with Brazil emerging as a key market, what specific trends in poker are you seeing? And how can operators tailor their offerings to the local market here, do you think?
Yeah, so Brazil has a particular set of laws. It's very beneficial in terms of poker, but there are other things that cause a problem. For instance, how online casinos are not allowed to add poker to their offering the same way that a lot of other online casinos do, because if I understand it correctly, it becomes like a mix and match between different types of games that are not classified the same, and that's not allowed. So in Cubeia, as a poker provider, we target those casino providers that want to add poker. So that's a bit of a challenge for us. But Brazil is obviously one of, if not the greatest poker country in the world, I think. So I think there's definitely market here anyway.
So you just need to keep persevering, really, then.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe try to angle ourselves a little bit differently in that sense. Maybe look more into operators that want to start like poker initiatives separate from their usual offering.
Right.
Things like that.
So that separation would take away the problems of current regulation.
Yes, exactly.
But the regulation, as I understand it, is still evolving, or is that not the case? Is it pretty much settled in terms of casinos?
I think there were some new laws coming to Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. So there may be changes to this, and I believe famous poker profiles like John Vlogs has mentioned this on his podcast too, that it's not about if, it's about when.
Right.
So we'll see. And try to be on top of that, of course, and try to adapt when it happens.
Yes, he's hoping. So going on then. So as mobile gaming continues to dominate, what are the critical technical innovations that poker platforms need to adopt in order to further enhance their user experience?
So there is this conundrum in the technical department of poker platforms, especially on mobile, is that a lot of poker players are expecting mobile apps to be able to play. They just prefer that. So for our poker platform, it's entirely web-based. And we did it that way because it's much easier. There's no download required. You can just pop into any browser on Safari or Chrome on your phone and enter our URL and play poker. And we thought that would be significantly better, but apparently there's a large segment of poker players that prefer this app and they want to download a program to their desktop and play on that. So that's definitely one of the technical hurdles that is big with the mobile industry. But I think what is happening is that people are more and more transitioning into convenience rather than technicalities like that.
So you could even have people playing on the underground, on the metro, playing poker on the
everywhere. Yeah,
everywhere.
And also, it should be mentioned that it's a big hassle to deal with apps in App Store and Play Store if you're a gambling company, because generally they don't like that. And even big players that like GG Poker, they don't have their app available in the Play Store and in the App Store. So that's a hassle, and it's very convenient to not have to deal with that. And that's also one of the advantages of making it web-based.
Right. So in terms of player retention, what are the most effective strategies for engaging poker players? And how does localization play a role in that quest?
So as a poker provider, we offer, it is common when you onboard poker into your offering that you aren't quite aware of how poker works, that you aren't quite aware of what the typical poker platform looks like. And that's one of the things that we do. We provide that service to our operators, that we help them manage their poker room and provide fun things like free rolls, guaranteed tournaments, events like main events in 4-week series that we build for them, and build satellites tournaments for that. We set up nice challenges and bonuses. That has proven to be very efficient in terms of retention. Of course, this becomes different in different areas in the world. We've tried this in Asian operators and European operators, and the things that stick are slightly different. And so we must always be on top of that game, of course, and try to adapt to all the...
That's about cultural differences, isn't it? For example, what everybody says here is that Brazilians love things for free.
Yeah.
I know. So the little prizes and the little bumps that you're able to get go down very well. But I would imagine in Asian cultures, maybe not so much.
Yeah. Looking at that fact, for instance, if you would have a platform with a lot of free rolls on, then you could potentially build a large player base, a large user base, and then hopefully with the right tools for convergence, you can convert them into real money players as well. So that's one strategy that would work very well in Brazil, for instance.
I imagine it would. Yeah. Okay, and then finally, given Brazil's evolving regulatory environment, how do you see the future of online poker here in this country? And what should operators do to, in your opinion, to navigate these changes effectively? And also looking at the changes that are still going to come, because nothing's been set in stone yet, has it?
Yeah, exactly. It feels like here in Brazil, it has been very advantageous laws around poker specifically, and that's a good thing in general. It feels like if there are changes coming in the near future, they're probably going to be negative because of how good it already is, right? It can't get it pretty much can't, the laws can't get any better than they are now, right? So if they're coming, and then we may have to adapt to that. For instance, our company is from Sweden, and I'm from Sweden. And comparing Sweden to Brazil, for instance, in Sweden, the game is classified as a gambling game, as opposed to here. And that comes with a certain stigma that puts a big brake on the growth of poker. And the things you see here in the Brazil, like how famous football players like Neymar promote poker, and they do it online. That would never happen in Sweden. And so that's why these laws are advantageous. So I hope that the laws that are coming don't affect the poker growth too much, so we can keep seeing that growth that goes so steady here.
Well, good luck with that. But if it's the culturally, I mean, Europe, but certainly Sweden is a chalk and cheese with Brazil, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also for England. I mean, I think the whole of Europe, nowhere in Europe would allow a football player to back a poker player.
Correct. Yeah, these like there are things about promoting gambling that are illegal in the European framework.
Yes.
So you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Unless I think there are certain things you can do, because we have casino promotions, we have gambling promotions, but you have to be regulated. You have to have a license that costs a ton of money, and a person like Zlatan Ibrahimovic would never get such a license,